one of the things he says in here is that schools are becoming institute of test taking. You're teaching kids how to take a test, and it's destroying their creativity that they have in elementary school. You know, if your goal of education is to build a well-rounded child, you can't build a well-rounded child if all they can do is add, subtract, multiply, divide, write a sentence, and answer a multiple choice question. You need to have a child that can be creative in art, music, gym, whatever it is. That they can have, some sort of physical knowledge. They have, world language. They have culture. They have these little social cues that come from all these different, special areas. And if all we're doing is teaching to the test, then we're building a society of test takers.
And you hate the term, we're driven by data. Everything is data driven, and by law that's what it's supposed to be. But you do lose the innovation on the kids with the specialists. They have the talents in music and dance, those kinds of things, to help them be well-rounded. In addition to these things, it goes like you said. It's almost, it dictates to us how we're going to build our courses, how we're going to hire our staff.
Well, you said how elementary school students love learning and they love to come to school. Well, my daughter, she was here first grade, second grade, third grade. Once she hit third grade, and she had Miss Bynum, who was fantastic, when it got time that all of a sudden all the creativity stopped because now it's testing, she cried every night doing homework. She wouldn't get up, she wouldn't come to school. This child never did that. She was the first one up, she was in school, she was happy. She didn't want to come. That was so much pressure. When I said with the PSSA score, she was doing the dance. And I'm like, you're good, relax. She goes, but am I okay? Is school okay? Are we all going to be okay? Everything's fine, relax. You did good. Wow. And it's the strain on the students when they hit third grade and go on is incredible.
To your point exactly, what are these skills, right? And it's kind of exciting because for the first time in my 15, 17 years in this space, people are really, in the last couple of years, are really starting to ask, what are those skills? If it's not knowing the quadratic formula, which all of you did in Algebra 2 your junior year, right? If you're not using that on a daily basis to make you successful, then what skills are you using on a daily basis to make you successful? And if school doesn't allow for those, and it was to your point earlier too, it's kind of, sometimes it's the periphery things that we're learning. It's not the memorize this formula or this sentence structure or this specific date in history, but how do we think as historians, how do we think as mathematicians? Grant Wiggins wrote a book back in the mid-90s on assessment, so it's kind of like the assessment Bible, and the one thing I remember from it is assessment drives instruction, right? And when you really think about that, it's true. So if you have a very dynamic assessment, then the instruction is going to be really dynamic, and if it's not, then it's not. So so they have to be measured, right? There's got to be some accountability in place so that we know that what's happening on 1330 Ron Street is similar to what's happening on the Navy Yard, so our kids are kind of pointing in the same direction. But at the same time, what does that assessment look like?